Hi everyone, and welcome back to my reaction video. I appreciate you stopping by. And I know it's been a while since my last upload, and so I apologize for the hiatus, but I've always been listening to this music the whole time, but I've been missing taking suggestions from y'all and listening to some new music and everything. So I wanted to make a return by listening to some classic Black Sabbath. And today the song chosen was Eternal Idol. This was another suggestion from Mike G, so I appreciate the suggestion, as always. And this is 1987 with Tony Martin. It's been a while since I last listened to some Tony Martin Sabbath. I actually only listened to one song of his under Black Sabbath before, which was When Death Calls, I believe was the name. And he had a really unique style. A really unique style he brought to Black Sabbath, I think, with his kind of more like classic rock kind of vocals or like cleaner style of vocals. So I'm looking forward to listening to this. I do think some people refer to his era as more like gothic metal Black Sabbath, and I could definitely see that. This album cover itself actually kind of looks like a gothic metal kind of album cover in a way, if you kind of get that aesthetic. But yeah, anyways, let's get right into it. And in the words of Jeff Walker, let's rock. Ooh, this is a really nice atmosphere. Sounds like I'm walking into a haunted house. That drum build up in the intro was really nice. This is definitely giving the whole gothic kind of vibe.
No one said it had to be this way. Why are we the victims of their final word? Dying world is killing us so slowly.
Again, talking about death and God and things like that.
Can you see what I see? Say your prayers tonight. The judgment day is here.
Once again, Black Sabbath keeping their lyrical themes consistent. I'm not sure who actually wrote Tony Martin's vocals, because I believe it was Geezer that wrote the vocals for Ozzy when he was in the band most of the time. But the lyrical themes in general are very consistent across all the singers. Here he's talking about death again and Judgment Day, kind of similar to when Death Calls, Tony Martin's other song that I reacted to, and also other Sabbath songs like Sabbath Bloody Sabbath was kind of similar to like, when you're dying, how the world becomes and things like that, and Judgment Day and among other things, and also like things like Heaven and Hell. Um, from that record, I believe some of the lyrical themes are similar to this whole like death and Judgment Day kind of lyrics. So yeah, and also the kind of like When Death Calls as well. This song isn't that riff heavy. It's more focused on like atmosphere as opposed to, I would say, um other eras of Black Sabbath. Tony Iommi's songwriting is much more riff heavy. A lot of more of those iconic riffs I think came from those eras, but this one has a really nice atmosphere as well that I'm liking.
Child of tomorrow will die, not even born.
Nice vibrato in that voice right there.
Jesus, our questions never seems to hear. Dying for the answers, maybe.
Listening more closely, I can definitely hear that the vocals I think are double tracked, which is pretty cool. Although I wouldn't have noticed that if I didn't like pay attention really closely to the vocals, but really nice way the vocals kind of blend together, those two vocal tracks.
Never seems to hear. Dying for the answers, maybe. Price we pay to find a killer alive.
That was cool. And right there in the middle of one line, he kind of changes his entire vocal style a little bit right there, starting off very soft and then increasing in timbre to get this more aggressive kind of vocal style. It's not as aggressive as I would say Ozzy and Dio, of course, but definitely like a more louder and more intense vocals in the second half of this line right here. Really, really nice change up too. It was a very smooth transition.
To find a killer alive. Is there a heaven?
Oh, Heaven and Hell, like Dio as well.
Is there a hell? Who's this God? Tell me there's no God above.
Oh, I want to hear that why again. That was a really cool vocal kind of thing he did. I'm not a vocalist by any means. Definitely can't sing anywhere close to like this, but um, I really like how that sounded. It doesn't. It sounds very unique from Dio and something that Dio or Ozzy would do with that little way he kind of trailed off that Y right there at the end, like that little drop of that little split-second drop. Again with the atmosphere. Yeah, this song is really doing its best to build like a really strong atmosphere kind of feeling. Even like the things like I'm not even sure what instrument that is, but it's like kind of panning from left to right. Let me hear that again. Right there.
We choose what Lord deep within our souls. He's not one thing.
Oh, again with the vocal change up in one line.
We are His Spirit. We could save this world from destruction. Can you see what I see? Can you hear me cry? Oh God, can you help me now? Take my hand.
Oh, I just remembered what it kind of reminds me of. His vocals a little bit remind me of the singer from Dream Theater a little bit. I forgot his name though. His vocals, I think a lot of people are kind of divided on his vocals. Um, the vocalist from Dream Theater is like very high pitched and almost kind of whiny at times. I kind of get that vibe a little bit. Um, from Tony Martin's vocals here a little bit. Let me know if you guys hear that as well. I think the effect is less strong with Tony Martin's vocals. Tony Martin's vocals sound more like a classic rock style than I would say Dream Theater's vocal sound, but I kind of see a little resemblance there.
Take my hand. Oh God, you and I are victims of their world. As the masters of power try to poison our world. Greed, money taking all our souls. Just mechanical brains. Politicians don't know. They just don't know.
Very faint bends from Tony Iommi in the back, in the mix. Oh, is that how the song ends? When it's fading out. Okay. Oh, I didn't even know. It's not even Geezer Butler on the it's not even Geezer Butler on the bass here. Um and is Bill Ward not on the drums either? So I guess this was an era of Sabbath where Tony Iommi was the only founding member in the band. Wow, I didn't even know that was a thing. Let me let it play to the end. Okay, yeah. Okay, that kind of shocked me a little bit. But so we don't even have Bill Ward or Geezer Butler, at least based on these images I see on the screen right here. And of course, Tony Martin was the vocalist. But wow. Yeah, it definitely does feel like a completely different kind of songwriting era of the band too. Like this song, kind of like when Death Calls was not very riff heavy. It was kind of just slow and definitely I wouldn't say the emphasis was on the guitar riffs like in other Sabbath songs I've heard. And there was no guitar solo in this song either, which was kind of a shame as a guitarist myself, but not every song is a guitar solo, of course, but that's just all we got to hear was just some guitar bends from Iommi in the outro that were like really low in the mix. So no proper guitar solo this time. But yeah, I'd say the highlight was probably the vocals. Um, the vocals definitely shine on this song, but I would say the other instrumentalists of the band did a really good job of setting kind of the vibe. That's what I kind of got the most out of this song was the atmosphere. I really like as I said in the beginning, it was like walking into a haunted house or like outside the gates of a haunted house kind of atmosphere, and it kind of kept that whole vibe throughout the song. And of course, the lyrical themes as well were very similar to other Black Sabbath subject matter when it comes to like death and heaven and God and what happens when you pass away and things like that. And also things like Judgment Day and when the world is ending. And kind of the lyrical themes I got from this song as well. So yeah, that was my reaction to Eternal Idol by Black Sabbath. I won't say it's my favorite Black Sabbath song. I'm more of a fan of their I would have to say I'm more of a fan of their more riff-centric songs. But it was overall really enjoyable listening to. Tony Martin definitely got a shine, and it was a unique listen hearing his vocals as well. Um, and yeah, I appreciate Mike G again for the suggestion, and thank you so much for listening to this song with me.